Hi, I'm Julie, still reading from Grimm's Fairy Tales. Today's selection is Clever Elsie. It is a comedy, a relatively unknown comedy. I hope you have fun with it. Clever Elsie. There was once a man and a woman who had a daughter who was called Clever Elsie. When she was grown up, the father said, "We will get her married." "Yes," said the mother, "if only someone who would come would have her." At length a man came from a distance and wooed her, who was called Hans, but he stipulated that Clever Elsie must be really smart. "Oh," said the father, "she has plenty of good sense." And the mother said, "Oh, she can see the wind coming right up the street and hear the flies coughing." "Well," said Hans, "if she is not really smart, I won't have her." When they were sitting at dinner and had eaten, the mother said, "Elsie, go into the cellar and fetch some beer." Then Clever Elsie took the pitcher from the wall, went into the cellar, and tapped the lid briskly as she went, so that the time might not appear so long. When she was below, she fetched herself a chair, and she sat it before the barrel, so that she had no need to stoop, and so that she did not hurt her back or do herself any unexpected injury. Then she placed the can before her and turned the tap, and while the beer was running, she would not let her eyes be idle. She looked up at the wall, and after much peering here and there, she saw a pickaxe exactly above her, which the masons had accidentally left there. Then Clever Elsie began to weep and said, "If I get Hans, and we have a child, and he grows big, and we send him to the cellar here to draw beer, and that pickaxe falls on his head and kills him." Well, she sat, and she wept, and she screamed with all her strength of her body over this misfortune which lay before her. Those upstairs waited for drink, but Clever Elsie did not come down. The woman said to the servant, "Just go down into the cellar and see where Elsie is." The maid went and found her sitting in front of the barrel, screaming loudly. "Elsie, why do you weep?" said the maid. "Oh," answered she, "have I not reason to weep? If I get Hans and we have a child, and he grows big and he draws beer here, and that pickaxe perhaps falls on his head and kills him." And then the maid said, "What a clever Elsie we have!" And she sat down beside her and loudly began to weep over this misfortune. Well, after a while, as the maid did not come back, those upstairs were thirsty for the beer. The man said to the boy, "Just go down into the cellar and find out where Elsie and the girl is." The boy went down, and there sat Clever Elsie and the girl both weeping together. He said, "Why are you weeping?" "Ah," said Elsie, "have I not reason to weep? If I get Hans and we have a child and he grows big and he has to draw beer here and that pickaxe falls on his head and kills him." And then the boy said, "What a clever Elsie we have!" And he sat down by her, and likewise he began to howl loudly. Upstairs they waited for the boy, but as he did not return, the man said to the woman, "Just go down to the cellar and see where Elsie is." The woman went down and found all three in the midst of their lamentations, and inquired what was the cause, and then Elsie told her also that the future child was to be killed by the pickaxe when it grew, and it had to draw beer, and that pickaxe was going to fall down. And the mother likewise, "Oh, what a clever Elsie we have!" and sat down, and she wept with them. The man upstairs waited a short time, but as his wife did not come back, the thirst grew even greater, and said, "I must go to the cellar myself to see where Elsie is." When he got to the cellar, and they were all sitting together crying, and he heard the reason that Elsie's child was the cause, and that Elsie might perhaps bring the one into the world some day, and that he might be killed by that pickaxe if it should happen to be sitting beneath it, just drawing beer at that very time when it fell down, he cried, "Oh, what a clever Elsie we have!" And he sat down, and he likewise wept with them. The bridegroom stayed upstairs alone for a very long time. And as no one came back, he thought, "They must be waiting for me down below. I too must go and see what they are about." When he got down, the 5 of them were sitting, screaming and lamenting quite piteously, each outdoing the other. "What misfortune has happened then?" asked he. "Oh, dear Hans," said Elsie, "if we marry each other and have a child, and he is big, and we perhaps send him here to draw something to drink, and then the pickaxe which has been left up there might dash out his brains if it were to fall down, and we have reason to weep." "Come," said Hans. "More understanding than that is not needed for my household. You are such a clever Elsie. I will have you." He seized her by the hand, took her upstairs with him, and they were married. After Hans had her for some time, he said, "Wife, I'm going out to work and earn some money for us. Go out into the field and cut the corn that we may have some bread." "Yes, dear Hans, I will do that." After Hans had gone away, she cooked herself some good broth and took it out into the field with her. When she came to the field, she said to herself, "Oh, what shall I do first? Shall I cut first, or shall I eat first? Oh, I will eat first." Then she drank her cup of broth, and when she was fully satisfied, she once more said, "Oh, what shall I do? Shall I cut first, or shall I sleep first? I will sleep first." So she lay down among the corn, and she fell asleep. Hans had been at home for a long time, but Elsie did not come. Then he said, "What a clever Elsie I have. She is so industrious that she does not even come home to eat." But when evening came, she still stayed away. Hans went out to see what she had cut, but nothing was cut, and she was lying among the corn asleep. Hans hastened home and brought a fowler's net with little bells hung around it. I had to check. A fowler's net is a hunter's net. It has little bells on it. He brought a fowler's net with little bells hung around it. He put it all about her. She went on sleeping. Then he ran home, shut the house door, and sat down in his chair and worked. At length, when it was quite dark, clever Elsie awoke, and when she got up, there was jingling all around her, and the bells rang each time she took a step. She was so alarmed, she became uncertain whether she was really clever Elsie or not. Is it I? Or is it not I? But she knew not what answer to make of this. She stood for a time in doubt. At length she thought, I will go home and I will ask if it be I, or if it be not I. They will be sure to know. She ran to the door of her own house, but it was shut. Then she knocked at the window and cried, Hans! Hans! Is Elsie within? Tinkle, tinkle. Yes, answered Hans. She's within. Hereupon she was terrified and said, Oh, heavens! It is not I. She went to another door, but when the people heard the jingling of the bells, they would not open it. She could not get in anywhere. She ran out of the village, and no one has seen her since. Okay, the ending came up quick. It's the end of the story. Honestly, that's how it ended. It's a comedy. I'll see you again. Have a good day. Bye-bye.